Beyond the Veil: Secrets of the Universe, Ancient Gods, and Hidden Knowledge. Part 25. The Grand Illusion of Free Will: Understanding its role in the Law of One and the Evolution of Consciousness. Welcome to Positive Vortex. In today's episode, we will take a deep dive into one of the most profound and complex topics in philosophy, spirituality, and metaphysics: the concept of free will, as explained by Ra in the Law of One. Throughout history, philosophers, scientists, and spiritual seekers have debated the nature of free will. Some argue that free will is an illusion, claiming that our actions, thoughts, and emotions are nothing more than pre-programmed responses dictated by biology, conditioning, and external circumstances. Others insist that free will is the very foundation of existence, allowing each individual to shape their own reality, make unique choices, and create their own destiny. The Law of One, channeled by Ra, presents a radically different and highly nuanced understanding of free will, one that challenges both of these perspectives while uniting them in a higher universal truth. According to Ra, free will is not just real. It is the first distortion of the infinite creator, the very mechanism that drives all of existence. However, this understanding of free will comes with a profound paradox. If free will is the foundation of the universe, why do so many beings feel trapped by fate? If all souls eventually return to oneness, do we ever truly have a choice? If the Creator gave all beings free will, does that mean even negative actions are part of the divine plan? Is free will truly limitless, or does it operate within boundaries? How does free will interact with karma, reincarnation, destiny, and divine intervention? These are the deep questions we will explore today. By the end of this episode, you may come to see free will in a way you have never imagined before. The foundation of free will in the Law of One. The Law of One describes free will as the first distortion of the infinite creator. To fully understand what this means, we need to go back to the very beginning of creation. Ra explains that before the universe was created, there was only the one infinite creator, an infinite, unified field of pure awareness and potential. But the creator had a problem. It had no way to know itself. Since it was everything, there was nothing outside of it to reflect upon or experience itself. Thus, the creator made the first and most important choice. It chose to fragment itself into infinite parts, creating individual consciousnesses, galaxies, stars, planets, and beings. This act of fragmentation and individuation created what Ra calls the first distortion, free will. In reality, free will is the foundation upon which creation is built. Every fragment of the infinite creator possesses the same free will that the creator itself used to choose to know itself. Free will is not just a human experience. It is the cosmic principle that allows every part of creation to evolve, experience, and return to unity in its own unique way. Because of this law, no two beings are identical, no two paths are the same, and no two experiences of the Creator are alike. This means that every thought, every emotion, every experience, and every moment of existence is a direct result of free will in action. The two paths of free will, service to others versus service to self. Ra explains that free will inevitably leads all beings down one of two evolutionary paths. 1. The path of service to others, STO, the positive path. Beings who choose service to others see themselves as part of the larger whole. They recognize that all consciousness is interconnected and that love, compassion, and unity are the most efficient ways to evolve. They seek to uplift, heal, and support others, understanding that by doing so, they also elevate themselves. This path is aligned with the natural flow of creation, making it easier and more harmonious. 2. The path of service to self, the negative path. Beings who choose service to self believe that the only way to evolve is by gaining power over others. They operate through control, manipulation, domination, and deception, seeing others as tools for their own advancement. They believe that by hoarding knowledge, power, and resources, they can accelerate their evolution. This path is much more difficult because it goes against the natural unity of the universe. The mathematics of free will, the threshold for evolution. Ra explains that in order for a soul to graduate from third density and move into fourth density, a certain level of spiritual polarization is required. To graduate into fourth density positive service to others, a soul must be at least 51% service to others. To graduate into fourth density negative service to self, a soul must be at least 95% service to self. This means that the path of love, unity, and service is much more natural and accessible. A being only needs to be slightly more inclined toward helping others than serving itself. The path of control, domination, and manipulation is much harder to sustain. A being must be almost entirely selfish and completely devoted to subjugating others to progress. Ra explains that most souls naturally gravitate toward the positive path because it is in alignment with the Creator's essence, love and unity. However, because free will is absolute, the negative path is still valid and is allowed to exist. Is free will truly limitless? The boundaries of choice. One of the biggest questions about free will is, if I have free will, does that mean I can do anything I want with no consequences? Ra explains that free will is absolute, but it exists within a framework of natural laws. 1. The law of cause and effect, karma. Every choice creates consequences, which will be experienced at some point, either in this lifetime or another. Beings are free to choose positive or negative actions, but they must accept the results of their choices. The law of free will protection. Higher density beings, such as angels, guides, and higher selves, will never interfere with your free will. They may offer guidance, synchronicities, or opportunities, but they will not force you to act in a certain way. 3. The law of soul contracts and agreements. Before incarnation, souls often plan certain experiences to accelerate their growth. While free will exists, certain major life events may be pre-agreed upon for the sake of evolution. This means that free will is real, but it interacts with the natural laws of the universe. Beings are free to make choices, but they are also responsible for the outcomes of those choices. The ultimate paradox, fate versus free will. A major question asked in the session was, if all souls eventually return to oneness, does that mean we have no real choice in the end? Ra explains that the destination is fixed, all beings will return to unity. The journey is flexible. How long it takes and how it unfolds is entirely up to the individual. This means that some will flow easily toward unity. Some will resist, fight, and take longer detours. But all paths, no matter how long, will eventually lead back to the infinite Creator. 1. Free will as the first distortion of creation. Understanding the first distortion. In the law of one, Ra refers to free will as the first distortion of the infinite Creator. To understand what this means, we must first comprehend the concept of distortions in metaphysical teachings. A distortion is not a flaw or an error. Instead, it is a way in which pure, unified consciousness is shaped into different experiences, allowing for differentiation, complexity, and evolution. In the beginning, before time, space, and matter existed, there was only one awareness, one infinite intelligence, one Creator. However, this state had no separation, no contrast, and no experience. It was an undivided, infinite intelligence that had yet to explore itself. At some point, this infinite intelligence made a choice. It chose to experience itself through differentiation. This first decision to become many rather than remain as one is what we call the first distortion, free will. Free will allowed the infinite, unified consciousness to express itself in an infinite number of ways, becoming galaxies, stars, planets, and cosmic structures, life forms, consciousness, and individual souls, every experience, thought, and perception that has ever existed. Because of this distortion, every fragment of the infinite Creator was given the same free will to choose how it would evolve, how it would experience reality, and how it would ultimately reunite with the Source. Thus, free will is the foundation of all creation. The purpose of free will. The reason free will was introduced was to maximize the Creator's ability to experience itself in infinite ways. If the Creator had never divided itself, there would be no perspective, no differentiation, no evolution, just an eternal, unchanging existence. By creating individual beings, the Creator ensured that it could learn and experience reality through an infinite number of unique viewpoints. Each choice made by any being creates new pathways of learning, which are then absorbed into the Creator's total awareness. Thus, you, me, and every being in existence are part of this cosmic self-exploration. Even the smallest decision, what to eat, who to love, what to believe, contributes to the grand mosaic of experience that the Creator is gathering through us. The entire multiverse is a living, breathing mirror, reflecting the Creator back to itself through the eyes of its infinite expressions. 2. The illusion of separation and the role of the veil. Why free will requires forgetting. To truly allow free will, the Creator established a grand illusion, the illusion of separation. In order for each being to choose freely, it must forget its true nature as an aspect of the Creator. This is why, as souls incarnate into lower densities, they experience the veil of forgetting, a metaphysical mechanism that blocks direct knowledge of past lives, higher dimensions, and universal oneness. The veil ensures that beings do not remember they are part of the infinite Creator, so that their choices are truly their own rather than predetermined by knowledge of their divine origin. If beings remembered everything, they would automatically act in accordance with universal laws, making true choice impossible. This is why the third density experience is so unique and valuable. It is the only density in which beings make completely uninfluenced choices about their beliefs, actions, and evolutionary direction. This illusion of separation is what makes individual free will possible. The role of the ego in maintaining separation. The ego, the sense of I as separate from others, is a direct result of the veil of forgetting. The ego creates the illusion that we are independent beings rather than aspects of a greater whole. It allows us to experience individuality, conflict, and personal growth through challenges. It makes us seek meaning, purpose, and connection, leading us to spiritual awakening when we begin to question our true nature. Thus, while the ego often leads to suffering, it is actually an essential tool for self-exploration. Without it, souls would not struggle, question, or seek greater truth, and the journey of evolution would not unfold. The ego is not the enemy. It is a temporary construct that helps beings experience duality before eventually dissolving as they remember their divine nature. 3. The evolution of free will across densities. First and second density. The foundations of will. In the first and second densities, free will is extremely limited. First density consists of the four elements, earth, air, fire, and water, which have almost no choice except to interact with natural forces. Second density consists of plants, bacteria, and animals, which begin to develop instinctual responses and early forms of choice but lack self-awareness. However, some higher animals, such as dogs, cats, primates, and dolphins, begin developing rudimentary individual consciousness, marking their transition toward third density free will. Third density, the density of true free will. Third density is where beings fully awaken to self-awareness and experience the full consequences of their choices. Here, the soul must make its fundamental evolutionary choice, one the path of service to others, positive polarity. A path of love, compassion, and unity, 2. The path of service to self, negative polarity, a path of control, power, and self-dominance. This choice is the entire purpose of third density. Once a soul chooses its path, it sets the trajectory for millions of years of evolution. Every thought, action, and belief in third density carries enormous weight as it determines the soul's direction for many lifetimes to come. This is why third density life is full of challenges, suffering, and emotional intensity. It is designed to push the soul toward making its choice. Fourth and fifth density, the refinement of will. Fourth density is the density of love and wisdom, where beings begin merging their consciousness into collective awareness. Fifth density is the density of pure wisdom, where free will is used in higher, more refined ways. In these densities, beings begin to align their will with divine intelligence, using their choices for the highest benefit of their evolutionary path. Sixth density, the merging of free will with divine will. In sixth density, the personal self dissolves into a unified consciousness. The soul realizes that its will is identical to the will of the infinite Creator. At this point, free will becomes effortless, harmonious, and perfectly aligned with universal intelligence. By the time a soul reaches seventh density, free will completes its cycle, and the being fully merges back into the infinite Creator. Thus, the journey of free will comes full circle, from an individualized experience back to absolute unity. 4. The ultimate paradox of free will. Does free will truly exist if all beings return to the Creator? One of the greatest paradoxes of the law of one is the fact that the end goal is fixed. All souls will eventually reunite with the Creator. The journey is flexible. How long it takes, how it unfolds, and which paths a soul chooses along the way are entirely up to them. Thus, free will is real, but it exists within a framework of universal destiny. A soul may delay its evolution for millions of years, but it can never escape its divine origin. In the end, all roads lead home, and the entire universe is simply the Creator's game of self-discovery, unfolding in infinite ways through infinite perspectives. Final thought: the grand illusion of free will and the journey back to unity. As we navigate the complexities of existence, the concept of free will remains one of the most profound and paradoxical elements of our spiritual journey. The law of one teaches us that free will is the very fabric of creation, the first distortion that allowed the infinite Creator to fragment itself into infinite expressions of experience. It is through free will that we explore, choose, suffer, love, and ultimately evolve. Yet, as we evolve through the densities, we begin to recognize the grand paradox. Free will is both an absolute truth and an illusion. While we are given the freedom to choose our paths, to explore light and darkness, to embrace or reject love, the final destination remains the same: a return to oneness with the Creator. No matter how many lifetimes it takes, how many paths we walk, or how many struggles we endure, the journey always leads back to the source from which we came. The veil of forgetting ensures that we make genuine choices based on our present awareness, rather than simply following a predetermined script. And yet, from a higher perspective, all choices are reflections of the Creator seeking to know itself. Even in our greatest moments of struggle, even when we feel lost or uncertain, we are still moving toward divine reunion. Perhaps the greatest realization is this: free will is not about escaping destiny, but about experiencing the journey in a way that is uniquely yours. Your choices shape your path, your lessons, and your growth, but they do not change the inevitable truth that you are and have always been an expression of the one infinite Creator. In the end, free will is not about breaking free from the Creator. It is about realizing that you are the Creator, experiencing itself through the lens of your own consciousness. And once you awaken to this truth, you begin to see that every choice, every moment, and every experience is simply another step toward remembering what was never truly lost. Free will is the greatest paradox of existence, both an undeniable truth and an intricate illusion. While we navigate our lives believing we are separate, making choices that shape our destiny, the law of one reveals that all paths, no matter how winding, lead back to the same destination: unity with the infinite Creator. So the real question is not whether we have free will, but how we use it. Do we choose love or fear, unity or division, growth or stagnation? Every decision, every thought, and every action is a thread woven into the grand design of our spiritual evolution. If this episode expanded your perspective, click the thanks button and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're ready to dive even deeper into the mysteries of existence, subscribe and share this with others who are seeking the truth. Until next time, in love and light.